The Galactic Survival Academy floated in the darkness between stars, a massive structure built from materials that could withstand a supernova. Inside its training halls, the strongest beings in known space learned to become even stronger. Instructor Velthara walked through the assembly hall, her 6 legs clicking against the metal floor. Her exoskeleton gleamed under the lights, purple and black, harder than battle armor. She had survived 3 wars and personally killed 17 enemy commanders. The cadets standing in formation before her represented 40 different species, each one a predator from their home world. "You are here because you survived," Velthara's voice echoed through the hall. "Your species climbed to the top of your worlds through strength, cunning, or pure violence. The weak died. The strong stand before me today." The cadets stood silent. There were Torvan warriors, massive creatures with 4 arms and skin like stone. There were Selfari scouts, quick and deadly with eyes that could see in complete darkness. There were Hexborn soldiers, pack hunters whose venom could melt through steel. Each one had earned their place through blood. "This year we have a special case," Velthara continued. She tried to keep the amusement from her voice. "A new species has invoked the ancient accord. They demand the right to attempt the trials." A hologram appeared above the assembly. It showed a planet, blue and green, covered in oceans and forests. The cadets stared at it. "This is Earth," Velthara said. "Galactic classification, garden world, moderate climate. Abundant water. No megafauna. No extreme conditions." She paused. "The dominant species calls themselves humans." Laughter rippled through the assembly. A Torvan named Hyun-Soo stepped forward. His voice rumbled like rocks grinding together. "A garden world? What predators do they have?" "None of significance," Velthara answered. "Their largest carnivores are smaller than my smallest claw. They have no natural armor, no venom, no enhanced senses. Their skin tears easily. They heal slowly. By all measurements, they should not be here." "Then why are they?" asked Bo Young, a Hexborn female whose reputation for ruthlessness had reached even the instructors. "Because the ancient accord guarantees any sapient species the right to try," Velthara said. The Galactic Council found it amusing. They approved the application. "One human will join you for training." More laughter. The cadets shared looks of disbelief and mockery. "I give the human 3 days," said Jae-hyun, a Krithian whose species was known for endurance. "Maybe less." "Dismissed," Velthara said. "Tomorrow we begin on Kirath 9. Prepare yourselves." The next morning, Tae-young arrived at the academy. The shuttle doors opened and he stepped out carrying a simple pack. He was not impressive to look at. He stood average height for his species, lean rather than muscular. His skin was brown, unmarked by battle scars. His eyes were dark and calm. The assembled cadets stared at him. Then they started laughing. "This is their champion?" Hyun-Soo bellowed. "I could crush him with one hand." "He looks soft," Bo Young hissed. Like prey, Tae-young said nothing. He simply walked to his assigned position in the formation. His face showed no emotion. He did not react to the mockery. Velthara studied him carefully. There was something in his eyes. Something old. But she dismissed it. The trials would reveal the truth soon enough. "Cadets," she called out. "We depart for Kirath 9 in 1 hour. This will be your first survival trial. The jungle world has been used for training for 200 years. 17 species have gone extinct trying to colonize it. Apex predators control every level of the ecosystem. Your task is simple. Retrieve beacons scattered through the killing fields. You have 72 hours. Those who succeed move forward. Those who fail," she paused. "Well, we will recover what remains of you." The transport ships carried them to Kirath 9. Through the viewports, the cadets could see the planet's surface. Endless green jungle stretched from pole to pole. Massive trees reached into the clouds. Even from orbit, they could see things moving through the canopy. Big things. "I have survived worse," Hyun-Soo announced, checking his armor. "My homeworld had crystal scorpions the size of buildings. My people hunted in acid swamps," Bo Young said, testing her claws. "This will be easy." Tae-young sat quietly, checking his equipment. A standard survival kit, a basic weapon, a communicator. Nothing special. He looked like he was preparing for a camping trip, not a trial that had killed dozens of cadets over the centuries. The ships landed in a cleared zone. The moment the doors opened, the jungle sounds hit them. Roaring, screaming, the sound of things dying. The air was thick and hot and smelled of rot and blood. "The beacons are marked on your maps," Velthara announced. They are scattered throughout sectors Delta through Kappa. Retrieve at least 3 to pass. You may work alone or in groups. Choose wisely. The cadets dispersed quickly. Hyun-soo charged forward, smashing through the undergrowth with raw power. Bo-young led a pack of 5 hexborn, using pack tactics they had perfected over millennia. The Sci-Fi scouts vanished into the canopy using stealth and speed. Tae-young walked into the jungle alone. He did not run. He did not charge. He simply walked, his steps careful and measured. Within minutes, the jungle swallowed him. Back at the command center, Velthara monitored the biometric displays. Each cadet appeared as a dot on the screen, with readouts showing heart rate, stress levels, and combat status. Within the first hour, the board lit up with alerts. Hyun-soo was in combat with a razor-spine panther. Bo-young's pack had triggered a strangler vine nest. The Sci-Fi were being hunted by something they could not see, but Tae-young's readings were calm. His heart rate was steady. His stress levels were low. His path through the jungle was direct, almost casual. Zoom in on the human, Velthara ordered. The screen shifted to show Tae-young's location. He was walking through one of the most dangerous sectors, a region where 3-meter-long serpents hunted from the trees and acid-spitting insects swarmed anything warm-blooded. But the jungle around him was quiet. This cannot be right, Velthara muttered. Check the sensors, the technician ran diagnostics. All systems functioning normally, instructor. Velthara watched as Tae-young walked past a burrow that had been marked as a serpent nest. The creatures should have struck. They always struck, but nothing emerged. Get me visual, she ordered. A surveillance drone descended through the canopy, its cameras focusing on the human. The footage made Velthara's blood run cold. Tae-young walked calmly through the killing fields, and everywhere he walked, the predators went silent. A pack of razor-spine panthers tracked him for 50 meters, their muscles coiled to pounce. Then they stopped. They watched him pass, and they turned away. A Titan strangler vine, a plant that had killed 2 Crithian cadets just last season, began to coil near his path. Its thorns glistened with paralytic toxin. Tae-young walked within striking distance. The vine sensed him. Its sensors locked on, and then it slowly, deliberately retracted into the canopy. What is happening? Velthara whispered. The human continued walking. Behind him, the jungle remained silent. Ahead of him, predators melted into the shadows. He retrieved the first beacon without incident, then the second, then the third. He never drew his weapon. He never ran. He simply walked through the deadliest jungle in the sector, and the jungle let him pass. In the command center, Velthara stared at the screen. She had trained thousands of cadets. She had seen courage and cowardice, strength and weakness, but she had never seen this. Send a message to the Galactic Council, she said quietly. Tell them we need xenobiologists. Something is very wrong here, or very right, she thought, and that possibility terrified her more than anything she had ever faced in war. The cadets returned from Karath 9 in different conditions. Hyun-soo came back with his armor cracked and smoking. He had fought 5 separate predators and killed 3 of them. His massive body was covered in cuts and burns, but he had retrieved 4 beacons. He walked off the transport ship with pride. Bo-young's pack had lost 1 member. A young hexborn male named Sang-woo had been dragged into the canopy by something they never saw. They found his communicator 3 hours later, covered in digestive acid. The remaining 4 had retrieved their beacons, but their eyes held the shadow of fear. The Sci-Fi scouts returned intact, but exhausted. Their stealth tactics had worked, but barely. One named Na-young described being hunted by thermal predators for 6 straight hours. Unable to rest, unable to stop moving, and then Tae-young walked off his transport, looking like he had spent the weekend hiking in a park. The other cadets stared at him. His uniform was clean. No blood, no burns, no signs of combat. He carried 5 beacons, more than required. How? Hyun-soo demanded, stepping into Tae-young's path. How did you survive? Tae-young looked up at the massive Torvin. I walked, he said simply. You walked? Through the killing fields alone? Yes, that is impossible. Bo-young hissed, approaching from the other side. We have been training for years. Our species conquered death worlds, and you, from a garden planet you just walked through? Tae-young's expression did not change. The trial was to retrieve beacons. I retrieved them. Show us your weapon, Jae-hyun said. The Crithian instructor had joined the confrontation, curious. Tae-young pulled out his standard-issue weapon. The charge counter showed it had never been fired. Not once. The assembly hall fell silent. "This is wrong," Bo-young said. "This is some kind of trick. Some human technology we do not know about." Velthara had been watching from above. She descended on her 6 legs, her presence commanding silence. "There is no trick. We monitored everything. The human completed the trial through pure survival skills. But the predators," Hyunsu started. "We are investigating." Velthara cut him off. "Dismissed. Rest period is 6 hours. Then we review the trial footage." In the analysis room, Velthara gathered her staff. The head technician, a insectoid being named Kilsu, had prepared extensive footage. Dr. Kwan-il, the Academy's xenopsychologist, had also been summoned. He was human, one of only 3 employed by the Galactic Academy, and he had been studying alien behavior for 20 years. "Show me everything," Velthara ordered. The screens lit up with footage from multiple angles. They watched Hyunsu's brutal combat with the razor-spine panthers. The creatures were magnificent killers, 3 meters long with spines that could pierce armor. Hyunsu had used his 4 arms and immense strength to survive, but he had been lucky. They watched Bo-young's pack encounter with a strangler vine nest. The plants moved like living whips, thorns dripping with toxin. The Hexborn had used their acid venom to burn through the vines. But Sang-woo had been too slow. The footage of his death was horrifying. "Now show me the human," Velthara said quietly. The screen changed. Tae-young walked into frame, moving through dense undergrowth. His steps were careful but not fearful. He seemed to be listening to something. "Sector Delta 7, Kilsu narrated. Known razor-spine panther territory. 17 recorded kills in this sector over the past decade." They watched as Tae-young approached a clearing. 3 panthers emerged from the shadows, their spines raised, teeth bared. Hunting formation. These were apex predators, coordinated and deadly. The panthers moved to surround him and then they stopped. The lead panther, a massive female, locked eyes with Tae-young. For long seconds, neither moved. The panther's body language changed. Its spines lowered. Its pupils dilated. And then slowly it backed away. The other 2 followed. "Play that again," Dr. Kwan-il said, leaning forward. They watched it 3 more times. Each time, the same pattern. The panthers recognized Tae-young as prey, moved to attack, and then something changed. Something in their predator instincts overrode the hunting response. "Show me the strangler vine encounter," Dr. Kwan-il requested. The footage switched to another sector. Tae-young walked along a path that wound through massive trees. Above him, barely visible in the canopy, a titan strangler vine waited. These plants were patient killers. They could remain motionless for days, waiting for prey to pass beneath them. Tae-young walked directly under it. The vine's sensors, evolved to detect heartbeat and breathing, locked onto him. Its thorns extended. It began to descend, moving with the slow certainty of something that never missed. Tae-young paused. He looked up directly at the vine. The plant stopped moving. For 17 seconds, they watched the vine remain frozen, its thorns inches from Tae-young's face. Then, with a movement that seemed almost like recoiling, the vine withdrew into the canopy. "That is not possible," Velthara said. "Strangler vines do not retreat. They have no fear response. They are plants." "Nevertheless," Dr. Kwan-il said softly, "it retreated." They reviewed more footage. The pattern repeated everywhere Tae-young went. Burrowing serpents that should have struck from their holes instead remained hidden. Acid-spitting insects that swarmed everything warm-blooded avoided him entirely. Even the smaller predators, the ones that hunted in packs and overwhelmed prey with numbers, went silent when he approached. "Run a full analysis," Velthara ordered. "Pheromones, electromagnetic signatures, thermal patterns, everything. There must be an explanation." The analysis took 4 hours. When Kilsu presented the results, they were disappointing. "Nothing unusual," the technician said. "The human's biochemistry is within expected parameters for his species. No unusual pheromones. No electromagnetic emissions. His thermal signature is standard for mammals. There is nothing that should cause this response." "Then why?" Velthara demanded. "Why do the predators avoid him?" Dr. Kwan-il had been silent during the analysis, studying the footage on a separate screen. Now he spoke. "May I offer a theory?" "Please," Velthara said. The human psychologist stood and activated a holographic display. It showed Earth rotating slowly. "Let me tell you about my homeworld," he began. The current classification is Garden World, and by modern standards that is accurate. But it was not always so. The hologram shifted, showing Earth from 50,000 years ago. The continents were different. Ice covered much of the northern regions. This was Earth during the last ice age, Dr. Quanil continued. And on this Earth lived predators that would terrify any species in this room. New images appeared. Massive creatures with fangs like knives. Bears 3 times the size of the current species. Wolves that hunted in packs of 50. Giant cats with teeth designed to bite through the thick hides of mega herbivores. These were Earth's apex predators, Dr. Quanil said, and they were magnificent. Perfectly evolved killing machines. So Earth was a death world, Hinsu said. He had been listening from the back of the room along with several other cadets. What happened? Humanity happened, Dr. Quanil said simply. He showed another image. A small figure barely visible next to the massive predators, a human ancestor, thin and weak-looking. My ancestors were not strong, Dr. Quanil said. We could not fight these predators directly. We could not outrun them. We had no armor, no venom, no natural weapons. By all logic, we should have been prey. But you survived, Velthara said. No, Dr. Quanil corrected. We did better than survive. We hunted them. The room went very quiet. My species developed one advantage, the psychologist continued. Endurance. We could not sprint fast, but we could run for days. We could not kill with claws, but we could throw spears from a distance. We could not overpower prey, but we could track it until it collapsed from exhaustion. More images appeared. Humans hunting in groups, following massive animals across vast distances, following them day after day, week after week, never stopping, never giving up. We called it persistence hunting. Dr. Quanil said, we would wound an animal and follow it. It would run. We would walk after it. It would rest. We would find it and wound it again. Eventually, it would be too tired to run anymore. And we would kill it. That is, patient, Nayang said. The Selfari scout sounded disturbed. Patient and merciless, Dr. Quanil agreed. And we did not just hunt prey. We hunted predators. Every apex species that threatened us, we systematically eliminated. The giant cats, extinct. The dire wolves, extinct. The cave bears, extinct. The short-faced hyenas, extinct. One by one, we removed them from the ecosystem. The hologram showed a timeline. Species after species vanishing as humanity spread across the planet. We made them extinct, Dr. Quanil said. We did not do it in a year or a century. We did it over thousands of years with patience and determination. And when we finished, Earth was not a death world anymore, because we had killed everything that could threaten us. Velthara stared at the human psychologist. You're saying the predators on Kyrath 9 sense this? That they recognize humans as predator killers? I am saying they recognize us as something worse than predators, Dr. Quanil said quietly. They recognize us as the species that makes apex predators extinct. The silence in the room was complete. Prove it, Velthara finally said. We have another trial scheduled. Drakthor, the Ice World. If this pattern repeats, we will know. Dr. Quanil nodded. I believe it will. The transport ships descended through frozen clouds toward Drakthor's surface. Through the viewports, the cadets could see endless white. Glaciers stretched to the horizon, broken only by jagged mountains of ice that rose like teeth from the frozen ground. Surface temperature is minus 80 degrees, the pilot announced. Wind speeds averaging 200 kilometers per hour. Visibility near zero in most sectors. Jae-hyun checked his environmental suit one more time. He had been born on a world with acid rain and volcanic heat, but even he felt nervous about Drakthor. The briefing said crystal worms. Among other things, Velthara answered. She was accompanying this trial personally, determined to understand what was happening with the human. Crystal worms are the primary threat. They tunnel through the ice and hunt by sensing thermal signatures. They are attracted to heat like moths to flame. How many cadets have died here? Asked Bo-young. 23 over the past century, Velthara said. More than any other training world. The ships landed on a flat ice plain. The moment the doors opened, the cold hit like a physical blow. The wind screamed across the frozen waste, carrying ice crystals that could strip flesh from bone. Your beacons are scattered across sectors Alpha through Epsilon, Velthara announced over the communications channel. You have 48 hours. The cold will kill you if the predators do not. Choose your paths carefully. The cadets dispersed quickly, eager to get out of the wind. Jae-hyun led a group of 5 Krithians using their natural resistance to temperature extremes. Bo-young's remaining pack stayed together, moving in their practiced formation. The Selfari scouts split up, each one taking a different route to cover more ground, and Tae-young walked alone into the blizzard. In the command ship hovering above the surface, Velthara and Dr. Kwan-il watched the displays. The storm made visual monitoring almost impossible, so they relied on biometric data and thermal imaging. The crystal worms are already active, Kilsu reported. I am detecting movement in sectors Beta and Delta, multiple signatures. Keep close watch on all cadets, Velthara ordered, especially the human. The first hours passed with painful slowness. The cadets struggled through the storm, fighting not just the cold but the wind that threatened to blow them off their feet. Jae-hyun's group made steady progress, using their strength and endurance to push forward. Then the first attack came. Cadet Myung-hee is under attack, Kilsu called out. Sector Beta 4. The thermal imaging showed the scene. A Selfari scout had stopped to rest in the shelter of an ice formation. Beneath her, something massive moved through the glacier. A crystal worm, 15 meters long, its body made of living ice and crystalline teeth. The worm erupted from below. Myung-hee tried to run, but the ice beneath her shattered. She fell into the tunnel. Her screams lasted only seconds before her communicator went dead. First casualty, Velthara said grimly. Continue monitoring. 4 hours into the trial, another worm attacked Jae-hyun's group. This time they were ready. The Krithians formed a defensive circle, using thermal explosives to drive the creature back. The worm retreated, wounded but alive. The cadets escaped with minor injuries. Bo-young's pack encountered a different predator, thermal leeches, creatures that attached to anything warm and drained body heat in minutes. The Hexborn fought them off with fire and acid, but one pack member, Dong-hyun, suffered severe hypothermia. They had to carry him, and Tae-young continued walking. His path is taking him through Sector Epsilon, Kilsu observed. That is the most active worm territory. I know, Velthara said. She could not look away from his readings. His heart rate remained steady. His body temperature was controlled and stable within his suit. He showed no signs of stress. Visual contact, Kilsu announced. A drone has reached his position. The screen showed Tae-young walking across an ice field. The blizzard raged around him, but he moved with the same calm pace he had shown on Kirath 9. His thermal suit glowed bright in the infrared camera, a beacon of heat in the frozen world. Perfect bait for a crystal worm. Movement detected, Kilsu said, his voice tense. Large signature. Approaching his position from below. The thermal imaging showed it clearly. A massive worm, one of the largest they had ever recorded on Drakthor, was tunneling toward Tae-young. Its body created a trail of heat in the ice as it moved. It will breach in 10 seconds, Kilsu counted down. 5 seconds, 3, 2. The ice exploded. The crystal worm erupted from the glacier directly in front of Tae-young. It was enormous, at least 20 meters long, its body covered in crystalline scales that reflected the dim light. Its mouth opened, revealing thousands of teeth like diamond shards. Tae-young stopped walking. The worm rose above him, a tower of living ice and hunger. Its sensory organs locked onto his thermal signature. This creature had killed 5 cadets over the past decade. It had never failed to strike once it detected prey, but it did not strike. What is it doing? Velthara whispered. The worm remained frozen in position, half emerged from the ice. Its sensory organs swept over Tae-young again and again. Its mouth remained open, teeth ready to snap shut. 17 seconds passed. Then the worm slowly sank back into the ice. Within moments it had vanished, leaving only a hole in the glacier. The command ship was silent. Play that back, Dr. Kwan-il said. Slowly, they watched the footage frame by frame. The worm emerges. It locks onto Tae-young. It prepares to strike. And then something changes. Something in its primitive brain overrides the hunting instinct. The creature that has never retreated from prey suddenly retreats. The pattern repeats, Dr. Kwan-il said, just as I predicted. This is impossible, Velthara said, but her voice held doubt now. Crystal worms are not intelligent. They are barely sentient. They operate on pure instinct. There is no reason for them to recognize a human as a threat. Unless the recognition is deeper than intelligence, Dr. Kwan-il said. Unless it is written in their most basic survival programming. Explain, Velthara demanded. Dr. Quan-Il pulled up comparative data on his screen. Every predator in the known galaxy evolved from prey animals. They developed hunting instincts over millions of years, but they also retained defensive instincts, the ability to recognize when they are not the hunter but the hunted. He showed images of various predator species from different worlds. These species all have similar brain structures in their threat assessment centers. When they encounter a superior predator, something that hunts them, they retreat. It is basic survival. But humans are not superior predators, Velthara argued. They are weak, slow, fragile. Physically, yes, Dr. Quan-Il agreed. But these creatures are not assessing physical threat. They are assessing something else, something in human biochemistry, our scent, our pheromones, our very presence that signals danger at the most fundamental level. He brought up more data. I have been studying Earth's history extensively since Tae-Young arrived. The pattern is clear. Wherever humans spread, apex predators disappeared, not over millennia of gradual evolution, but within centuries of human arrival. Australian megafauna, North American predators, European cave bears, Asian tigers, all reduced to extinction or near extinction. Many species hunt other predators, Velthara said. That does not make them unique. But we hunted them with a specific goal, Dr. Quan-Il continued. Not for food, not for territory, for elimination. We identified species that threatened us and systematically removed them from existence. We did not stop until they were gone. He showed a timeline of human expansion across Earth. Behind the spreading human populations, predator species vanished like candles being snuffed out. We are not predators, Dr. Quan-Il said quietly. We are exterminators. And on some level, every predator in the galaxy can sense it. More alerts appeared on the screens. Other cadets were encountering worms and fighting for survival. But every time a worm came near Tae-Young, the same pattern repeated. The creatures would emerge, sense him, and retreat. By the end of the trial, Tae-Young had collected all 5 required beacons. He had walked through the most dangerous sectors on Drakthor without firing a shot. His weapon remained holstered. His suit showed no signs of combat. When the cadets assembled back at the landing zone, they looked at Tae-Young differently now. The mockery was gone. In its place was something that looked like fear. Yunsu approached him slowly. The massive Torvin had fought 3 worms during the trial. His armor was cracked. His body bore new scars. He looked down at the small human. "What are you?" he asked quietly. Tae-Young met his gaze. "I am a human," he said simply. "No," Bo-Young said, approaching from the other side. Her pack had lost Dong-Hyun to hypothermia. Humans are from a garden world. They are weak. They are prey. Earth is a garden world now, Tae-Young said. It was not always so. What do you mean? Asked Na-Young. The Selfari had survived her encounters, but barely. Tae-Young looked at the assembled cadets, at their armor and weapons, at their natural defenses and evolved advantages. Then he spoke. My ancestors were weak. We had no claws, no armor, no venom. We were slow and fragile. We should have been prey. He paused. But we had one advantage. We never stopped. When a predator ran from us, we followed. When it hid, we found it. When it fought, we came back the next day and the next and the next. Persistence, Jae-hyun said. Persistence, Tae-Young agreed. And patience. And most importantly, memory. We remembered every species that killed one of us. And we hunted them until they were gone. All of them. The cadets stood silent on the frozen plain. The wind howled around them. Above, in the command ship, Velthara made a decision. Prepare for the final trial, she announced. The hellscape. We will test this theory to its limit. Dr. Quan-Il looked at her. The Void Stalkers have never let prey escape. I know, Velthara said. If the human survives them, we will have our answer. One way or another. The hellscape earned its name honestly. From orbit, it looked like a world made of fire and sand. The planet had a 60-hour rotation, which meant 30 hours of daylight so intense it could melt lead, followed by 30 hours of darkness so cold that exposed flesh froze in seconds. This is our final trial, Velthara announced to the assembled cadets. They stood in the landing zone, protected by temporary heat shields. Around them, the desert stretched endlessly, red sand rippling like an ocean. Survive 72 hours. That is all you must do. What about beacons? Asked Jae-hyun. There are no beacons here, Velthara said. The hellscape is about pure survival. You must endure 3 day-night cycles. Those who live will graduate. Those who do not—" She gestured to the wasteland. "Well, we rarely recover bodies from this world. What hunts here?" Bo Young asked. Velthara paused before answering. "Void stalkers. We know almost nothing about them. They appear during the sandstorms that rage between day and night. They hunt by sensing electrical impulses in nervous systems. No one has ever seen one clearly and survived. We lose cadets here almost every year." The cadets shifted uneasily. They had faced death on Kirath 9 and Drakthor, but something in Velthara's voice suggested this was different. "You may form groups if you wish," Velthara continued. "Most find it safer to stay together." The stalkers seemed to prefer isolated prey. After Tae-young's previous performances, a second human cadet had arrived at the academy. Her name was Hee-jin, and she had been fast-tracked through the earlier trials after Tae-young's success generated interest in humanity. She was taller than Tae-young, with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor that matched his. "We should work together," Na-young said, approaching the 2 humans. The Selfari scout had become fascinated by the humans after watching them walk through dangers that terrified her. "My stealth skills and your whatever it is you do. We could help each other." Tae-young nodded. "That is acceptable." Groups formed quickly. Hyunsu led a mixed team of Torvin and Krithian, using their size and strength for protection. Bo Young's Hexborn pack stayed together as always. Several smaller groups scattered across the landing zone, trying to find the best shelter. The heat shields powered down. Immediately the temperature climbed. Within minutes it reached 50 degrees. Within an hour it was over 80. "Move," Velthara ordered. "Find shelter before the peak heat arrives." The cadets scattered into the desert. Hyunsu's group headed for rocky outcroppings they had spotted from orbit. Bo Young's pack dug into the sand itself, using their claws to create temporary burrows. The humans and Na-young walked steadily toward a distant cliff face. "You are not running," Na-young observed. "Running wastes water," Hee-jin said, "and water is life here." They reached the cliffs as the temperature passed 100 degrees. The rocks provided some shade, but the heat was crushing. Na-young's 4 eyes were watering despite her protective gear. "How can anything live here?" she gasped. "Life finds a way," Tae-young said. He was examining the cliff face. "Look, burrows. Something lives in these rocks." Night fell like a hammer after 30 hours of burning daylight. The temperature dropped to 90 degrees in less than an hour. Ice formed on the rocks. The wind picked up, howling across the desert, and then the sandstorm came. It rose from the south, a wall of red sand reaching kilometers into the sky. The wind screamed with a sound like tearing metal. Inside the storm, shapes moved. Dark things that flickered in and out of visibility. "The Void Stalkers," Na-young whispered. "They hunt in the storms." In the command ship, Velthara watched the thermal displays. The storm blocked most visual sensors, but they could still track the cadets' biometric readings. 12 groups scattered across the zone, Kilsu reported. "Storm will reach them in 15 minutes. How many will survive?" asked Dr. Kwanil. "Historically?" Velthara said. "About 70%. The stalkers usually take 3 to 5 cadets per trial." They watched in silence as the storm engulfed the first group, a team of 3 Hexborn who had separated from Bo Young's main pack. Their biometric readings showed panic, heart rate spiking, stress hormones flooding their systems. Then the readings went dead, all 3 at once. "First casualties," Velthara said quietly. The storm swept across the desert. Hyunsu's group huddled in their rocky shelter, weapons ready. They could hear things moving outside. Scraping sounds, a shriek like metal tearing. Something massive brushed against their shelter and then was gone. "Stay together," Hyunsu roared. "They take the isolated ones." But staying together was becoming harder. The storm was disorienting. Even with instruments, cadets were getting lost, separated from their groups in the screaming wind. The next casualty was a Krithian from Hyunsu's group. He had stepped outside the shelter for just a moment, needing to relieve himself. The others heard him scream. When they went to look, there was nothing. No body, no blood. Just scorch marks in the sand. "It is hunting us," Jae-hyun said. His voice was tight with fear. Another scream echoed through the storm. Then another. The stalkers were active now, moving through the sandstorm with purpose. At the cliff shelter, Na-young was shaking. "We should move deeper into the cave," she said. "Get away from the entrance." No, Tae-young said. We stay here. Are you insane? Those things are out there. Yes, Heejin agreed. They are out there. Not in here. But they could come in. They could, Tae-young said calmly. But they will not. Na-young looked at the two humans. They sat calmly near the cave entrance, not hiding, not cowering. Just sitting. Waiting. You think the pattern will continue, she said. You think the stalkers will avoid you like the others? We will see, Tae-young said. They sat in silence, listening to the storm. The shrieks came regularly now. The stalkers were feeding. In the command ship, the casualty count was rising. 5 cadets dead, then 6, then 7. The humans are just sitting there, Kilsu said, checking their readings. At the cave entrance, exposed. I know, Velthara said. She could not look away from the screen. Something moved through the sandstorm toward the cave. The thermal cameras could not see it clearly, but they detected its presence. Something large. Something that radiated heat like a furnace. A stalker is approaching their position, Kilsu announced. Na-young saw it first. A shape in the storm, darker than the darkness. It moved wrong, jerking and flowing at the same time. As it came closer, she could see more details. Too many legs, eyes that glowed with internal heat, a body that seemed to blur at the edges. It is here, she whispered. Tae-young and Heejin stood up. They faced the approaching creature. The Void Stalker emerged from the sandstorm. It was massive, at least 5 meters tall. Its body was armored with plates that looked like volcanic rock. Steam rose from its joints. Its eyes locked onto them, sensing the electrical impulses of their nervous systems. Perfect prey. The stalker moved forward. 1 step, 2 steps. It was less than 10 meters away now. And then it stopped. In the command ship, every eye was on the screen. Velthara had stopped breathing. The stalker tilted its head, studying the humans. Its sensor organs swept over them, back and forth, again and again. Its body tensed to strike, but it did not strike. 30 seconds passed, a minute. The stalker remained frozen in place, as if locked in some internal battle between hunting instinct and something else. Something deeper. Then it made a sound. A shriek that made Na-young cover her ears in pain. It was not a hunting cry. It was something else. Something that sounded almost like fear. The stalker backed away. Step by step, it retreated into the sandstorm. Na-young could not speak. She stared at the humans in shock. It feared you, she finally whispered. A void stalker. The apex predator of this world. It feared you. Not fear, Dr. Kwanil said, watching from the command ship. Recognition. The storm continued through the night, but no stalker came near the cave. Other cadets were not so lucky. By dawn, the casualty count had reached 11, the worst loss in Academy history. But desperate cadets had noticed something. Those near the humans survived. Those far away did not. As the second night approached, bringing another sandstorm, cadets began moving toward the cliff shelter. They came in small groups, exhausted and terrified. Hyun-soo and his remaining team. Bo Young's pack, now down to 3 members, Jae-hyun and 2 other Krithian survivors, others. Can we stay here? Hyun-soo asked. The proud Torvan warrior looked broken. With you? Tae-young nodded. Yes. They huddled in the cave and around its entrance. 23 cadets, all that remained from the original group. They could hear the stalkers moving through the storm, shrieking, hunting. But none approached the cave. Why? Bo Young asked Tae-young. Why do they leave us alone when we are near you? Tae-young sat at the cave entrance watching the storm. Because they remember, he said. Remember what? What happens to species that hunt humans? Ye-jin answered. What happened to the saber-toothed cats? The dire wolves? The cave bears? All the apex predators of Earth? You made them extinct, Sang-min said. He was a young Torvan who had lost 3 friends in the storm. Yes, Tae-young said simply. But these stalkers have never encountered humans before. Jae-hyun protested. How can they remember something they never experienced? Instinct is older than memory, Dr. Kwanil said over the communication channel. He had been listening to everything. These creatures have hunted for millions of years. Their survival instincts are refined to perfection, and those instincts are telling them one thing: avoid the humans. Because we are predators? Hyun-soo asked. No, Dr. Kwanil said. Because you are predators. Humans are something else, something that predators have learned to fear. The 3rd day on the hellscape broke with blood-red dawn. The surviving cadets emerged from the cave exhausted but alive. Around them, the desert was quiet. The sandstorm had passed. The stalkers had retreated to wherever they hid during daylight. 23 cadets out of 42 who had started the trial. The worst survival rate in the Academy's history, but every single cadet near the humans had survived. The transport ships descended through the morning heat. As the cadets boarded, Velthara watched their faces. The mockery and pride were gone, replaced by something else, respect mixed with fear. They looked at Tae-young and Hai-jin differently now. Back at the academy, the surviving cadets gathered in the assembly hall. They had cleaned up and rested, but the hellscape still haunted their eyes. Bo-young had lost half her pack. Hyunsu bore new scars. Even the proud Selfari scouts moved with less confidence. Velthara stood before them, flanked by Dr. Kwan-il and the Academy Council. The council consisted of 12 members, representing the major military powers of the galaxy. "You have completed the trials," Velthara announced. "You have survived death worlds. You have faced apex predators. You have earned the right to graduate from this academy." The cadets stood at attention, but their eyes kept drifting to the two humans standing among them. "However," Velthara continued, "this year's trials have revealed something unexpected, something that requires explanation." She gestured to Dr. Kwan-il. The human psychologist stepped forward. "During these trials, we observed an unprecedented phenomenon. Apex predators from 3 different worlds, representing completely different evolutionary paths, all exhibited the same behavior when encountering humans. They retreated." Murmurs ran through the assembly. "We have analyzed this extensively," Dr. Kwan-il continued. "We tested for every possible explanation: technology, pheromones, electromagnetic signatures, psychic emissions. We found nothing unusual in human biology or equipment." "Then what caused it?" demanded Sang-min. The young Torvin had nightmares about the stalkers. "What are the humans?" Dr. Kwan-il pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth rotating slowly. "To understand humans, you must understand our history," he began. "Earth is currently classified as a garden world. But this classification is recent. Very recent. 10,000 years ago, Earth was different. The hologram changed, showing Earth during the last ice age. Massive creatures roamed the continents. Predators that made the Void Stalkers look small. These were our apex predators," Dr. Kwan-il said. "Saber-toothed cats with fangs 30 centimeters long. Short-faced bears weighing 800 kilograms. Dire wolves that hunted in packs of 50. American lions. Cave hyenas. Terror birds. Giant monitor lizards." The images scrolled past, each one more intimidating than the last. "My ancestors lived alongside these creatures," Dr. Kwan-il continued. "We were small, weak, slow, we had no natural weapons. No armor, no venom. By every measure, we should have been prey." "But you survived," Bo-young said. "More than that," Dr. Kwan-il said. "We thrived, and we did it through one unique adaptation." A new image appeared. A group of early humans running across a plain. "Persistence," Tae-young said from the assembly. "We ran. Not fast," Dr. Kwan-il agreed. "But forever. Humans developed the ability to run for hours, days even. We could not sprint like prey animals, but we never had to stop." He showed footage of persistence hunting compiled from historical records, humans following prey relentlessly. "We developed a hunting method called persistence hunting," Dr. Kwan-il explained. "We would wound an animal and follow it. It would run. We would track it. It would rest. We would find it again. Eventually, it would be too exhausted to run. And we would kill it. That is cruel," Na-young whispered. "That is effective," Dr. Kwan-il corrected. "But we did not just use this on prey. We used it on predators." The hologram showed a new timeline, human populations spreading across Earth, and behind them extinction after extinction. "We hunted the saber-toothed cats," Dr. Kwan-il said. "Not for food. They were not good to eat. We hunted them because they killed us. We tracked them to their dens. We killed their cubs. We followed the adults until we could kill them with spears. We did this for thousands of years. Each sentence was accompanied by an image. Species after species vanishing. The short-faced. Bears. Extinct. The dire wolves. Extinct. The American. Lions. Extinct. The cave. Bears. Extinct. The giant hyenas. Extinct. Every single apex predator that threatened us, we eliminated. The assembly was silent. We did not do this quickly, Dr. Kwan-il continued. It took millennia. But we never stopped. We never forgot. Every species that killed a human became a target. We tracked them across continents. We followed them for generations. We did not stop until they were gone. He paused, letting that sink in. By the time we developed agriculture 10,000 years ago, Earth's megafauna was gone. The death world of our ancestors had become a garden world, not through climate change, not through natural evolution, through systematic elimination. Velthera spoke. You are saying humans turned their death world into a garden world by killing everything dangerous? Yes, Dr. Kwan-il said simply. Hyun-Soo stepped forward. But that does not explain why predators here fear humans. These creatures never encountered humans before. No, Dr. Kwan-il agreed. But predator instincts are ancient. They are refined over millions of years of evolution, and one of the most important instincts is threat recognition. Brought up comparative brain scans of various predator species from different worlds. All predators have threat assessment centers in their brains, he explained. They can sense when something is dangerous to them. Not just physically dangerous, but dangerous at a deeper level. Humans look weak, Jae-hyun said. How do they sense threat? Biochemistry, Dr. Kwan-il said. Pheromones that we still carry from our hunting past. Patterns in our movement, the way we track and observe. Something in our presence that triggers ancient warnings in predator brains. He showed microscopic analysis of human sweat, breath, and cellular signals. We carry the markers of an apex predator killer, he said, not an apex predator. Something worse. Something that specifically hunts predators. And on some level, every predator in the galaxy can sense this. Tae-young stepped forward. May I speak? Velthara nodded. The human cadet faced the assembly. Dr. Kwan-il is correct. But there is more. He looked around at the alien faces watching him. You have all asked what humans are. Let me tell you. He walked to the holographic display and pulled up an image, a map of Earth covered in human settlements. We did not just hunt predators to extinction, Tae-young said. We dominated our entire planet. Every ecosystem. Every climate. From frozen poles to burning deserts to deep oceans, we adapted to everything. New images appeared, humans in Arctic gear, in desert robes, in diving equipment. We learned to survive anywhere, Tae-young continued. But more than survive. We learned to thrive. We built cities. We created agriculture. We developed technology. And we never stopped moving forward. He pulled up images of human warfare, battles, weapons, conflicts. When we ran out of predators to hunt, Tae-young said quietly, we turned on each other. Human history is 10,000 years of warfare. We developed weapons specifically designed to kill other humans. We became so efficient at killing that we created weapons that could destroy our entire planet. The assembly stirred uneasily. We learned to kill in ways that would terrify any predator, Yejin added, standing beside Tae-young. Persistence hunting was just the beginning. We developed ranged weapons, traps, poisons, tactics, strategy. We learned to kill from a distance, to kill silently, to kill efficiently. And we never forgot our enemies, Tae-young said. Human memory is long. We kept records. We passed down knowledge. We remembered every threat, every danger, every species that challenged us. And we eliminated them. He looked directly at Velthera. You asked what humans are. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the most dangerous. We are the most persistent, the most adaptable, the most patient, and the most merciless when threatened. Silence filled the hall. Finally, Sang-min spoke. So the predators sense this? They sense that humans are extinction-level threats? Yes, Dr. Kwan-il confirmed. Their instincts recognize something that their minds cannot understand. Something that specifically hunts and eliminates apex predators. It triggers their deepest survival response, retreat. The council members had been conferring quietly. Now the head counselor, an ancient Selfari named Wonshik, stood. The council has made a decision, Wonshik announced. Humanity will be accepted into the galactic military structure. However, they cannot be classified as standard cadets. Murmurs ran through the assembly. Humans represent a unique capability, Wonshik continued. They can survive environments that defeat conventional forces. More importantly, they can neutralize apex threats through means we do not fully understand. He looked at Tae-young. You will be designated Apex Protocol Specialists. When the galaxy faces extinction-level threats, when conventional forces cannot succeed, when apex predators must be eliminated, we will send humans. Velthara stepped forward. With respect, Council, there is one more consideration. Humans must also learn restraint. The ability to kill without limit must be balanced with wisdom. Agreed, one chick said. Human training will include ethics and restraint protocols. You must learn not just to survive, but to protect. Tae-young bowed. We understand. We will learn. The graduation ceremony was quiet. The cadets who survived received their rankings. Hyunsu placed second. Bo-young placed third. The Selfari scouts filled the middle ranks. Tae-young placed first, not through combat scores or physical tests, but through pure survival. He had walked through 3 death worlds without firing a shot. He had survived where others died. And he had done it all by simply being human. As the cadets dispersed, Hyunsu approached Tae-young one last time. I mocked you when you arrived, the Torvin said. I called you weak prey. You were not wrong, Tae-young said. Physically, I am weak. I am prey to most species here. But you are also the most dangerous being I have ever met, Hyunsu said. Because you do not kill with strength or speed. You kill with patience and memory. We do not want to kill, Tae-young said quietly. We want to survive. To protect our people. To explore. But yes, when threatened, we remember. And we are very patient. Hyunsu extended one massive hand. I am honored to serve alongside you. Tae-young shook it. And I alongside you. As the Torvin walked away, Hyejin joined Tae-young. They fear us now, she said. Yes, Tae-young agreed. But fear can become respect. We will prove that humans can be trusted, that we can use our nature to protect rather than destroy. And if we cannot, Tae-young looked up at the stars visible through the Academy's dome. Then we will prove Dr. Kwan-il wrong. He said predators have nightmares about us. We will show the galaxy that humans can be what they need, not what they fear. In her office, Velthara filed her final report on the human cadets. Her recommendation was clear. Accept them, train them, but never forget what they are. The report ended with a single line that would become doctrine for the galactic military. When facing an extinction threat, send the humans. They have survived worse. They have eliminated worse. They are the apex predator of apex predators, and they never ever stop. The galaxy had invited humanity to join them among the stars. They had expected a curious species from a garden world. Instead, they discovered the most persistent hunters in existence. And the apex predators of 1,000 worlds went silent before them, driven by instincts older than consciousness, instincts that whispered a simple truth. These are the ones who make apex predators extinct. Run.